work, I notice, is hard to do. Grieving is emotionally inconvenient, an interruption, whether your life is going along pretty well or whether it's falling apart. But grief work is essential to becoming a real human being, to building a culture of newness and peace. Why? Because the culture of death is killing us. Grieving awakens us from our interior numbness. Our sacred traditions, along with creation itself, urge us toward newness and the flourishing of life. What might real grief work look like in troubled times? In Luke's Gospel, chapter 19, Jesus is now within sight of the city of Jerusalem. His time is coming to an end. He begins to weep. He laments his beloved Jerusalem and says, "If only you had known the path to peace this day. But you have completely lost it from view. You will be dismantled stone by stone because you failed to recognize that you were visited by the Holy One." Jesus of Nazareth, teacher, healer, bringer of peace, weeps. His entire public ministry reveals an impelling vision of awakening from the numbness of death to radical newness, awakening to a world that is meant to be on earth as in heaven. He yearns for and reveals a world that moves beyond and therefore rattles the power arrangements of the soul-numbing dominant culture. So I want to share with you 2 thoughts on grieving. First, grieving is interior before it finds outward expression. Grief is not rage, but a deeply felt response to something that is not right, that has been lost, or gone tragically wrong, or missed the mark, or forsaken its potential. In the days and weeks following the 9/11 attacks, we were told, "Go shopping. Show that we are not rattled by terrorist assaults on our home turf." Yet many in this nation just wanted to lie face down and weep, lament, grieve at the enormity of personal and collective loss. As we see in places of unrest today, the powers that thrive on collective numbness laugh at the situational moments of public protests, the placards, the slogans. But these powers get rattled when the people move from numbness to actual grief and announce and begin to enact a new moral vision, a new dignity, purpose, and strength. The taproot of grief is love. Without love, there's no need to grieve. My second thought on grieving is this: grieving is the necessary personal and collective soul work that moves us toward newness. I think of the personal and collective grieving of those trapped in apartheid regimes and the painful work of truth and reconciliation in many nations. Palestinians in Gaza and beyond continue the deep soul work of holding firm to a shared commitment to nonviolent responsibility as a people of peace. Given the moral chaos and civil unrest in our times, we are hurled into a season of necessary soul work, which means grieving enough to wake up and walk out of the collective numbness which the dominant culture depends on to carry out its dehumanizing agenda. We now must seriously revisit the taproots of our spiritual and sacred traditions and be energized by what is new for these times, though not yet revealed. Jesus' Beatitudes offer clear examples of soul awakening. When you're poor in spirit, with nothing really to brag about, when you grieve and break through the expected numbness, when you're meek, not greedy or pushy, when you actually hunger and thirst for righteousness and moral decency, which is dangerous work, when you express compassion for those who suffer oppression, exposing the moral failure of the way things are, when you're clean of heart and intention, not bought or polluted, and commit to the disciplines of peacemaking, often at great personal cost. These are the ways that you and I opt for the land of the right side up and non-violently resist the culture of death. You will be hated, Jesus warns, and even persecuted for your betrayal. We're wise to listen to the teacher. Grieving gets your heart mixed up with the suffering of the world. Our soul work right now is to press forward on the path of promised newness because we hold a hidden power. Power to grieve, power to be grounded in love, power to be wholehearted for the good, to be ignited with what is new and life-giving, and to go public with our fire. So, how to weep and hold to a better way? I offer you 4 essential practices. First, reclaim and feed daily on the nourishment of your taproot language, the language of your deep sacred tradition. For me, this means sitting with the Gospels daily, as the nonviolent Mohandas Gandhi did, as the visionary Martin Luther King Jr. did, as the fiercely compassionate Dorothy Day did. Second, stay rooted daily in a liberating vision of justice, compassion, generosity, and joy. For me, this means training the mind to not magnify the latest moral outrage, but to hold firm to the promised world I yearn for, starting now in my own town. Third, resist all interior numbness and get your heart mixed up with human suffering and divine yearning. For me, this means noticing how I feel in my heart, in my gut, when I see unwarranted human suffering right in front of me and remember the suffering Holy One is here. Fourth, grieve honestly, especially through personal or collective ritual, in order to recenter yourself in the one hope that stirs at the core of your being. Lean into the power that flows from justice, compassion, generosity, and joy, and build a culture of newness and peace. For more insights and encouragement, visit my store page, read sample pages, and purchase any of my books, including Gospel Vulnerability, The Key to Costly Love. When you purchase from my store, you support my work directly. Please subscribe for more inspiration and encouragement, and share this video with friends. Be well, live in peace, love one another.
Dare to believe.